Hello friends and channel followers, welcome back to another video in Microsoft Flight Simulator. After having some issues with my power supply unit last week, I am back in operation. Everything is up and running. Luckily the PSU I removed from my computer did not cause any damage to the hardware components, so that's lucky. And now I have a new PSU, a little bit higher. My old one was 650 watts, this one is 850, and hopefully it will provide enough power to the upgraded components that I have. Anyway, the subject of the video today, it's been almost 2 years since I published my first G1000 detailed usage tutorial, or how to use the G1000, and explaining the functions, knobs, buttons, etc. And a lot has changed in that 2 years. First and foremost, now we have the NXI in all default aircraft. That's an awesome mod that everybody probably knows that Working Title team made, and then it became part of the core sim and improved all the default avionics. So we'll take a look at the NXI, and this will be an updated version of how to use the G1000. I'll point to a couple things. We'll take it slow, so expect this video to be longer than my usual, because I'd like to give enough detail for those of you who are newcomers to flight simulation. And if you are interested in a specific part of the video, it will be time-stamped and you can scroll and fast forward to the part of the video that you'd like to view. Before I start, again, thanks for everybody who supported me so far in this 2 years plus some months journey. I appreciate everybody who subscribed and showed their support through the comments, and it is really exciting for me to read your comments, so please do not hesitate to share your comments and what you think about my videos and anything that you might be interested in seeing. And I'd like to make a list and hopefully record those tutorials to help you in your flight simulation journey. Anyway, this has been a long intro. Let's get started. What we will do is we will start the aircraft, because we will need some power to keep the unit running, and then take a look at the G1000 and see what it has to offer with the NXI version that became the part of the sim with Sim Update 10, I believe. See you in the cockpit. Come to the cockpit of the Bonanza G36. This is not the default Bonanza. I have downloaded the improvement mod from flightsim.to. If you are interested, the link will be in the description field of this video. It improves the Bonanza a lot. And the reason I choose this is to show you the engine page, which is possible with the NXI, but the developers of the aircraft needs to code the engine page so that you can view it. Regardless, if you are using any default aircraft, you will have the full functionality that I will be describing in this video, except most likely you will be missing the engine page of the aircraft. Anyway, we are cold and dark. Let's get the aircraft started and talk about the NXI. We'll turn the batteries on, and as soon as I turn it, you'll see a different splash screen from the default G1000 that was released with the core sim 2 years ago. So take a look at this. Garmin splash screen, and then the screens will come to life, and you'll see these red areas because nothing is aligned yet. AHRS align, keep wings level, so it's aligning, which is true to life, and it's a great rendition of the real G1000. Anyway, now we see it. Our avionics are not turned on, therefore some of our radios are not visible here. Nav2 specifically, Nav1 is available. But anyway, we'll start the engine and then talk for the rest of the things. And when you start, if your avionics master is turned off, you'll see your engine parameters here to start the engine. And then when you turn the MFD on, it will come. As you see, it's now aligned. We have the synthetic terrain. Let's go get started. Alternators are on. Auxiliary pump or boost pump to low, and we have to have the mixture and prop full forward. That's good. And then We'll crank the engine now. Mags are on. Clear prop. There's something wrong. It's not. Oh, is it running? No, it's not running. Maybe I need more throttle, I guess, is required. Let's see. I'm seeing fuel pressure, which is fine. There we go. Now it catches. All right. So now we have an engine running. I hope this is not too loud. I'll try to adjust the sim audio when editing the video to give you enough sound levels to clearly hear my voice. And we don't need to hear the engine voice. So now we can back the RPM, the throttle a little bit and idle around 1000 RPM or 900, which is fine. And boost pump can go off. That's annoying, I know. And the last thing we'll do, by the way, I forgot to turn on the beacon. We'll turn the avionics master on and see what happens with the splash screen of the MFD. It turns on, and then it will display G1000NXI system working title 100. This is how you can tell you have the working title NXI. Navigation data December 1st to December 28, 2022. That all checks out. And press enter or rightmost soft key to continue, which is this or this. Select this, and now you are presented with the MFD map. So we'll start with the PFD, talk about what we have here, and then switch over to the NFD and go over all the soft keys, all the knobs, all the buttons, and what it does. Autopilot controls, I think everybody who has flown an aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator knows this, but I'll go over this again for the newcomers to understand what each mod does, and maybe we'll take a short flight to demonstrate this up in the air, and then before we end the video, and then talk about that in a little bit more detail. Anyway, PFD. So what we have here, the button layout and the knobs. We have the volume, so this is for comms and nav volume. We have the nav knob, which is stacked on top of each other, inner and outer. We have the heading knob over here, and then we have some hardware keys at the bottom that rolls into different options, or that gives us different options to select from. I'll talk about this here in a little bit. On this side, we have the COM2 volume button, and pushing this button will enable the squelch. Course and barometric pressure knob, and then course knob here, and then pushing this will center the course. Like if I push this, you see that will fix our current course, which is 180. Let's try this again. It fixes us back to 180. This is the range knob. This is not useful here unless you have the map displayed on your PFD. We'll talk about that. Some flight mods like direct to, menu button, flight plan, procedures, clear and enter, and then the FMS knob down below, which is also stacked, that controls altitude and a couple other things. So that's the button layout. Let's start over on this side. Nav knob, the inner one, will change the whole numbers for the active nav frequency, and the outer one will change the decimal points. Okay, and then pressing the knob will move to the nav 1 from nav 2, and it does the same thing. Inner knob, or the large one, does the whole numbers. Outer one, or the smaller, does the decimal points. And then this arrow button here switches the active or standby to active. Luckily, I was able to tune to NVOR that's close by, looks like. So that's how you switch, and pushing this knob in will go, and then this will do the same thing for the nav 1. Okay, so that's that. Heading knob, I think that's self-explanatory. It will change your present heading. That's the heading bug, that magenta-ish color down there. And it will change the heading as you turn it. Right, so that's that. We'll come to here after covering this part Again, volume for nav2, COM2, I'm sorry, nav1 and 2 is here, COM1 and 2 is here, so that's the COM volume, this is the nav volume. Arrow button, same thing, switches the active frequency, and the D snub does the same thing for the frequencies. This is the coarse and borrow knob, I told it different, this is the frequency selector knob. Inner one or the large one does the whole numbers, outer one or smaller one does the decimal points, and then pressing the arrow will switch the active frequency. Again, pressing on this knob will go to COM2, and then it will do the same thing. Inner whole numbers, outer decimal points, and then pressing the arrow will switch to standby to active. Down below, coarse, that's the outer one, and the inner one sets your barometric pressure. So it's currently, you know, that's the default 902, and then you can set it to your barometric pressure if you have ADIS information or METAR for the airfield you are at. We are currently at North America, San Luis County Regional Airport, but that's what that does. And then the outer one, which looks like a triangle, three-dimensional triangle or prism, changes the course. Okay, so we'll talk about what course does here in a little bit. Over on this side, I'll come back to this, and then this lets you select a direct to fly directly to that waypoint, VOR, whatever it is. This also has keyboard entry mode. By pressing this white keyboard symbol, you can search for a waypoint. I don't know what's close by, but I'm just demonstrating how you can type, and then clicking that will disable the keyboard entry mode. Okay, and then when you type in one, I need to look for one close by. Let me just take a look at what we have here. We have the Mike Quebec Oscar VOR, so let's try to tune that VOR. Mike Quebec Oscar, and it will display the bearing and course to the VOR and the distance. Oh no, that's not that one. Is that Mike Q0? Oh, that's a taken station. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me, I found the VOR. That's Golf Lima Juliet, so let's try this one. Sorry, I was unprepared for this part, I guess. Golf Lima Juliet, Santa Maria, Guadalupe, 18 miles, bearing and course to that VOR station will be displayed here. So that's what this button does. Menu, this will set the brightness for PFD and MFD. So this is auto brightness, and it's at 100%, but you can change the brightness to your liking. To move, you have to use this large inner knob of the FMS knob to move, and then the outer one will change your selection from auto to manual, and you have to press on it. Oh, you have to select enter, then move one over, and then that will adjust your brightness. That's how it's done. And go back, select auto, click enter, and we are back to auto. Flight plan, again, this helps you to build a flight plan using the PFD. If your MFD malfunctions for some reason, you have this as a backup, but most of the flight planning will be done in the MFD in this tutorial. Same here. Procedures, if your MFD malfunctions for any reason, you can select the approach, arrival, and departure procedures using your PFD by this procedure button. Clear works as a clear and backspace, and then enter to confirm your selections. So that's the left and right side knobs and buttons. Let's start with the keys down below. Map HSI. So this button will get you to select an inset map. So as you see here, most of these options are grayed out. These options are not selected here. Now you have a different menu to select these, but the layout, if I want an inset map here, I can have a map as a backup to my MFD. And the range button that I told I will come back to this later, controls the range of this map. As you see here, I'm zooming out and zooming in. So it's possible to have a map here and zoom in and zoom out. However, a better map option is the HSI map, which draws a map inside your HSI over here. And the range button, again, does the same thing. You can control the range of the HSI map. This is much more cleaner in my opinion if you'd like to use this while you are flying. And if you don't want to look at your MFD all the time, this will also draw your flight plan when you have one programmed into the unit. So that's what this does. So let's keep it at inset map for now and bring the range down, because when you go up a certain range, it becomes a little bit cluttered. So I'd like to keep it at 10 or 5 mile range. And you see the airspaces around this too, which we will talk how to remove those if you want to. As you see now, the grayed out buttons are now available. If you don't select the map, or if you turn it off, the options will become unavailable. And then selecting the map and going back, now you have the options. You can reduce the detail. It has 3 levels, actually 4 levels. Detail 3, detail 2 will remove the airspaces, 1 will remove the nearby airports, I believe, and then you go back to all. 3, that detail 2 is, it's gonna display the nav aids, and then detail 1 will display very minimum information on the map. We'll keep it at detail 2 for now to keep it clean. Traffic, yes, you can put the traffic information here. It will display the traffic. You see this is crossed right now. That requires you to turn on your TCAS system on the MFD, I believe. We'll check that later on. This changes the map type from topo map to relative terrain. And yep, and then the next red, you guessed it right, this will display the weather information around you. So if you have rain, precipitation, this will be displayed on this little map over here if you select this option. Okay, so that's the map options. Let's go back. Let's take a look at the PFD options. When you go in here, you have the synthetic terrain, SVT. You can select terrain or heading label. And the heading label, I need to show you here. Take a look at here. Or let's change our heading from 284 to something different using our heading knob so that we can see it in front of us. So our current heading is 256. So I'm going to keep it like this. And when I turn this heading label, you'll see a label coming behind the altitude tape. It's barely visible right now. It puts your heading onto the PFD. Okay, and then you can turn off the terrain to remove the synthetic map or synthetic terrain, or you can keep it on. That's the first option. Wind. This is same if you have seen NXI or any G1000 mod. This displays the wind in 3 different options. I like the option 3 because it shows you the magnitude and the strength of the wind. So that's why I stick with most of the time. But if you don't want to have the wind information, you can turn it off as well. DME. This displays the DME to a specific nav aid. So if I tune to the one that we discussed just recently, that nav aid that's close by, the VOR station, Golf Lima Juliet 113.5, 113. I need to change the frequency, the standby, and then make it active. So that's 113.5, Golf Lima Juliet. And then this should display the DME if it has DME information available. If it's not a VOR DME, you will not see anything here. You will have to have a VOR DME to receive that information. So actually the Guadalupe VOR is just a VOR without DME. But we have another one. If we can receive the signal, that is a DME, 117.5. Let's try that one. 117 and then decimal 5. Let's switch. Foxtrot Lima Whiskey. And now we have DME information. So that's what the DME does. And pressing this once more will remove it. So that's what it is displayed here. Bearing, that's the bearing to the nav aid here that you tuned, 087, 39 miles. So if you have this bearing information, it kind of renders the DME useless. So decluttering the screen is always what I do and remove the DME if I have the bearing selected. You can also select nav2 for a different pairing, and if I go into the nav2 and tune that other VOR, 113.05, which doesn't have a DME, and make it active, you'll see, hopefully see the bearing. It's not displayed here, not sure why. But you can select the GPS bearing, nav1, nav2, and ADF. So that's what the bearing does, to display the bearing information to the selected navigation aid. Same here, nav1, nav2, ADF. You can have two bearings on the side of the HSI if you want to. Altimeter units, this lets you select between inches mercury and hectopascals depending on where you are in the world. This is how you change from inches mercury to hectopascals. We'll keep it at inches mercury. We are in North America right now. And standard baro will tune or set your barometric pressure to the standard 20/9 or 9/2 when you press it. Okay, and now it's gone. I have to go into the PFD options again and then deactivate standard to go back to what I have tuned or what I have set. So that's the standard baro, and that's the last option for the PFD options. CDI, that changes your course deviation indicator source from nav1 to nav2 to GPS back to nav1. Okay. You have three different sources of navigation or nav aids that you can use, nav1 and nav2, which you can tune here, and then your GPS, which follows a GPS flight plan or RNAV flight plan, in other words. So that's what this selection makes. ADF DME, so that brings up the ADF radio to tune to an ADF station. I don't have any ADF close by, so I won't be able to demonstrate this, I'm afraid. But this is how you tune the ADF. So again, you use this knob to tune or to scroll, and then this will go and change the frequency. Like if I want to go and tune to 039er, this is all I have to do. Use the outer to change, use the inner to move back and forth, and then enter will obviously make your selection. This is now flashing because it's at standby. Pressing the enter one more time will move it to the active frequency. Okay, and then you can change the mode from ADF. Oh, we cannot change the mode, I guess. And then DME, as you see, this will change the DME information right now. Remember how we weren't able to see the DME from nav2? So you can change the DME using this. If you have selected the DME under PFD options, and if you want to see the DME to your nav2, this is how you select it. So it defaults to nav1, and you can move this to nav2 to have a different DME information displayed for a different frequency to track that. Sometimes it's useful to know your distance to your next nav aid on your flight plan or whatever you are trying to do. Okay, this is the ADF menu. Let's go back. Let's close the ADF menu. Transponder, that's the transponder, self-explanatory. We are squawking VFR right now. We can go to the code to change the code. So that's 1200 right now. We can change it to whatever we like. If we are given a transponder code by ATC, if we are flying online on a network, this is where you come to change your transponder code. And then the modes, transponder on, you would like to do this on the ground while taxiing to the runway, and then altitude reporting on is I believe called mode Charlie at the same time. This will report your altitude to air traffic control when you turn it on like this. Okay, we'll keep it at standby for now, and the ident will send an ident to the air traffic control when you press this. Next one, timer reference. So this is the reference speeds. This will be displayed on your PFD, and a timer that you can use to, have a timer here. Like if I want to count down from 5 minutes, we will select this by changing, and how I change is I keep doing this naturally, but you use the outer one to go into edit mode and then scroll with the inner knob or the big one, and then make your selection and then press enter to set it. And then we want to count up or down. We can select down. In this instance, we will count from 5, and then if I go here and enter on start, it will start counting down from 5 minutes. Okay, so that's what the timer does, and then we can reset if you want to use a timer. The other one is to set your references, glide speed, VR, VX, and VY. If you want to turn off any of these, you can turn it off, and it will be instantaneously removed from your PFD display under the speed tape. Okay, so like you see here. So that's what the timer reference button does. And then the nearest, which I should have used to show you the nearest airports and other things. So it will default to the nearest airports, and I believe you can scroll down and see the entire list. There's a slider here, so this is not touch screen, I guess, so you have to use this to scroll up and down. And while this is active, you can see what airports are close by over here. Okay, let's close this, and then the alerts will display any alerts the units is displaying. There are none at the moment, but if you have an alert, this will be displayed here, and this button will, or the text will change color or flash to show you that there's an alert that you need to pay attention. So that's the entire PFD. I hope this was useful. We'll go over and talk about the MFD here in a second. Right, now we are with the MFD. We'll go over the buttons again and then talk about the other stuff. Again, same deal here for these knobs around the unit volume. You can also change your nav and comm frequencies from these knobs. We have discussed this. Same goes for the heading and course. You can change these as well. We have some options down below. We have autopilot controls here. We will talk about these, and then we'll talk about these in a little bit more detail when we are discussing the MFD. The range again does the same thing. It zooms in and out. And we have the ultimate altitude knob over here, which is used to set your altitude. So take a look here. That will set the altitude. So if I scroll the inner one, the big knob, it will go in thousands, and if I use the smaller or the outer one, it will go in hundreds and set the altitude. So I want to fly at 8,500. This is how you set it. Okay, so that's the altitude knob. Over on this knob, we will talk about this here in a little bit after covering what's down below. Autopilot panel, flight directors. This will turn on the flight director. It is not turned on right now. Now it is. And you'll see the FMA displayed when the flight director is on. If I turn it off, it will go away. Autopilot engage, disengage button here. Heading mode. This will select or fly a selected heading. altitude hold. This will hold the current altitude the moment you press the button. We are currently at 50 feet, so it's gonna hold it, which we don't want, but that's what this button does. Pressing it one more time disables it, and you see altitude selected in white color. This means this is armed now, and it will go active to green, and the alt will be displayed here when we reach 8500. Nav, this will follow your nav radios or your GPS based on your CDI selection here. So if your CDI is selected to GPS, nav will follow your GPS flight plan. If it's selected to nav 1, it will follow the VOR 1. If it's selected to VOR 2, it will follow VOR 2. That's what this does. VNav, this doesn't do anything. We'll discuss about this. I believe there's an advisory VNav that we can look into. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but we'll talk about this. Approach mode. To arm the approach mode when you are flying an ILS or RNAV approach, which is both possible. You can fly RNAV and ILS approaches with G1000. Localizer back course. Again, this is used for an airport which has a single localizer for both ends of the runway, and you have to fly a back course to fly it properly from an opposite end. So that's what you use the build course for. There are not too many left in the world to use this, but it is there. Vertical speed mode and flight level change mode. So the difference between two, this is your climb modes. Vertical speed mode will set a certain vertical speed when I press, and when I press and you see the nose up and nose down, use nose up. So I'm gonna climb at 500 feet per minute. That's how you set your vertical speed. And flight level change does the same thing, but in this time it just uses the speed. So if you say I want to climb at 80 knots, it will climb at 80 knots, and you can change the speed that you set by using, I believe, let me see here. I think we need to be up in the air to make this work, but you have a way to change the speed using one of the knobs over here, but I can't remember which one. Okay, it was this one. Okay, there you go. Nose up, nose down. It is working backwards at the moment, interestingly, but well, this should be speed up and speed down, but anyway, maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but this is how you change the speed you want to climb at. So this aircraft does fine with 85, 90 knots climb, or you can go a little bit higher, and your vertical speed will be dependent on your set speed over here. Okay, so that's the different climb mode that you can select and use. So that's the autopilot modes in a nutshell. Down below, this is what I wanted to show. You have an engine page, at least for this Bonanza, if you download the mod. As you see, you have a system page that displays the engine parameters, fuel flow, gallons remaining, gallons used, endurance, range, etc., etc. You can also reset the fuel and then set the remainder or remaining gallons. If we take a look at the weights and balances here, we have actually we don't have gallons selected. Our fuel display is in liters, and I need to do some math to calculate, but total fuel is man, I don't want to do this math right now, but you got the idea. So this will let you set the remaining fuel in your tank. Okay, and then lean. This is the interesting page about the engine pages. You see the cylinder head temperatures here. So when you play with your mixture, when we are up in the air, you'll aim for the peak of lean to lean your engine, which I will describe if we end up doing a circuit at the end of the tutorial. And you can select a different cylinder to display the information from. As you see, it will cycle through each cylinder that you have. Then you can have an assistance delta peak, which will assist you to lean the engine. We have to discuss this when we are up in the air. Okay, so that's the engine page. You have the detail over here, which will do the same thing, lowers the detail of the map. And you have the map options instead of PFD options here. You can put the traffic information here. You can get the traffic displayed. You can have the topographic or relative terrain or off for the map style. You can have the next thread, which is the weather radar. And then you can turn the topographic legend on and off by this knob, or this button here, I'm sorry. So that's the map options. You also have a menu here, which is a little bit different than the PFD menu. You have the map settings. If you select this, you need to use the inner knob to scroll down. You can select the heading up orientation or north up or track up. I'd like to use track up. You can have north up, automatic north up about 1000 miles. Terrain display, again, that's topographic terrain, or off, or relative. Same selections that you can do with the keys. And the scale is off or on, that's the legend here. Track vector, this is the track vector that is displayed when you are flying to show the direction of flight. If you are turning, it will display in an arc and show the travel path of the aircraft. And then the altitude arc is the arc that will display on your MFD, like when you are going to reach to the selected altitude. That's the altitude arc. So that's the map menu. To go back, we'll press clear to remove, and then declutter does the same thing, changes the detail, and that's all the options here. However, we have some more. It's kind of hidden because it's not through a button or something. You have to be on the main map screen. And this inner knob, the large one or the bigger one, will give you different options or different pages of the MFD. So if I start scrolling, you'll see the map. I can use the outer one to scroll. Now we are looking at the traffic, and it brings its own options. ADSB active, traffic alert system standby. If we move it to operational, it should display the traffic around us. And this time we don't have any traffic. I'm not injecting anything. And then motion, you can say absolute relative off. This will display the information based on your selections. And then I think this is the update interval of the traffic display. And then the altitude mode, again, remember the GNS 530, you can set unrestricted, which gives you 9,900 feet above and below. You can select normal, that's 2,700 feet above and below. That will display the traffic within 2,700 feet above and below your aircraft. Below, this will display the traffic within 2,700 feet above your aircraft, but also will display the traffic within 9,900 feet below your aircraft. And then above does the opposite. It will display the traffic within 2,700 feet below your aircraft and 9,900 feet within 9,900 feet above your aircraft. So that's what the range button does. We'll keep it at normal for now. And if we go again, you can also pull in the weather radar. Now you have the weather radar options here. We can have the mode in standby or weather, activating radar on ground, read and follow all safety precautions, continue activating radar, because weather radar generates a high frequency radio beam that's harmful to humans around you, so you would only turn this prior to takeoff. Turn this on prior to takeoff, but just for demonstration, you can turn it on and then it will display the weather information. And we can simply go back to standby and turn it off. So that's the weather radar information or weather map, and that's the two options we have. We can go back to nav map. Next group of pages displays the waypoint information. Like in the 530, you have the intersections information. You can type in an intersection and get the information. To display the cursor, you need to press the knob and then it will become active, and you can type in an intersection if you know the name, and that will display the information of that intersection. The other option here, to go back, you need to press clear, then push the knob again, so that will disable the cursor. We can also take a look at the NDB information if you have an NDB close by, and if you want to tune or type its ident code or ICAO code, you will get the information about that NDB station. Same for the VOR, that will display the information. So for this one, we can demonstrate because we know a couple VORs close by. So if I tune to or search for Golf Lima Juliet Santa Maria Guadalupe VOR and hit enter, we need to disable the keyboard mode and enter. Now we get the information. We have the frequency started flashing now, and the altitude, the coordinates, etc. So why this is flashing is for this reason. So take a look at where I am. I am active on nav 2, and I can go active on nav 1, 2. This will do the same thing. So if I press enter, it will tune this to standby. See how that changed? So let me demonstrate one more time. If I go to a different frequency completely and press enter while this is flashing, you can tune to that VOR station very easily. Okay, so that's the VOR. And to remove the cursor, we will press the knob again and we'll go back to page selection mode. So next page in the list is the auxiliary page. This gives you some settings that you can change. Actually, not some, a lot of settings. To bring the cursor again, we have to press the knob. You can change the time format from UTC to local 12-hour and or 24 if you want to display the local time. On the unit, we'll stick to UTC. Nav angle, you have magnetic and true. Heading display, distance and speed, you can change the units from nautical miles and knots to metric units, kilometers and kilometers per hour if you want to. I don't know why would you want to do that. Same goes for altitude and vertical speed. You can do it in feet and feet per minute, or meters and meters per minute. Okay. Temperature, you can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit for the temperature units. And remember how we were displaying the fuel in gallons. So if I change this from pounds to kilograms, okay, we'll go back to the engine page and show this to you here in a second. You can change your fuel units here. Okay. And then the other one is changing the fields, the 4 fields at the corners of the display to select a different field. So this is showing now ground speed, direct track, and estimated time and route. And like in the GNS 530, you can make your own selections from a lot of selections that are available to us. Okay. So like, for instance, if I want to display the fuel on board on the upper left corner, which is the field 1, I can select FOB and press, and when we go back, you see fuel on board 63 gallons. So that's field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4. This is not around the screen. I'm sorry, that's GNS 530. This is at the top of the MFD. So now we have 63 gallons of fuel. And that's displayed in gallons, even if I have selected kilograms here. So that's a little bit interesting, but I'll take it, no worries. Oh, bring the cursor one more time. Next up, we'll go change these 4 fields if you want to. That's there. Channel spacing, this might be usually useful for maybe on VATSIM if you want to choose different channel spacing. I never use this. And then this is the criteria to display the nearest airports. So it is only going to display the hard surface runways with a minimum length of 3,000 feet. So this aircraft can land to shorter ones. So if I can say, okay, show me any, and show me anything that is around 2,000 feet or 1,500 feet, something like that. And then this will change the nearest. Like if I go to the nearest page here now, because I changed that selection, I have runways less than 3,000 now that are displayed. So these are the regional airports. I can see those airports in the nearest page. Okay, that's done. And that was the last option. So the next page group is the flight plan. We'll come back to this. We will program a flight, but I'm gonna cover this later on. And the last page is the nearest page. So this will display the nearest airports based on, again, the criteria we have selected. Okay, so to bring the cursor, again, need to press the knob, and then I can scroll down by using the large knob. And as you see, it's displays, it's a hard surface, runway 11 and 29er, 2,349 feet long, 50 feet wide, and these are the frequencies available for the airport. Santa Margarita range, hard surface, turf surface. So it also displays the others based on my selections in the options menu that I have changed. Okay, but that's the nearest airports. So if I disable the cursor by pressing the knob and go scroll down, this is going to display the nearest intersections now. If I go and select this, you can also move down by the enter button if you don't want to use this to scroll. Okay, and then you need to, yeah, this will display the information and the select information for the selected intersections. So there was an option to jump the cursor, and that's what I'm trying to figure out here. If I, is this one to jump to the next field? I'm gonna try to see, because I want to jump here. Gosh, I forgot how it was done here. Sorry guys. You bring the cursor, press enter, that will move you down. One of these buttons will do it, but I can't remember right now. We'll check it out later on. I will hopefully remember. Let's go to the VORs, and I'll probably remember how to do it when we are on the VORs page. Next one, nearest NDBs. Again, we have 3 close by, bringing the cursor like this, and then either using the large knob or enter to scroll. And which one was it? No, that's not that one. Let's go back. NDB, cursor. I want to jump the cursor to here, but it's not doing it. Maybe it's not possible for the VORs. I really can't remember how to do this. Sorry guys. I need to figure this out. Anyway, the next one is the VOR. Okay. Again, bringing the cursor. This will move it down. Then you will see the information about the stations. Hold on, I finally remembered. Okay, see, we are selected on this one, and I have the cursor here flashing. Golf Victor Oscar, 50 miles. You see the VOR and frequency buttons here. So VOR and the frequency. When you press the frequency button, the frequency will become active and it will start flashing, and pressing enter will tune it to standby. So that's how you do it for VORs. Sorry about that, but looks like it is not possible to do it for the intersections. So VORs, it's possible. I thought it should be possible for the NDBs too, but bringing the cursor doesn't give me that option. Maybe that's something that's in development. Remember, NXI is still in a early access beta, I believe, or it's still being developed. So that's how you do it for VORs, but there is no option for this NDBs or intersections. Okay, I hope I didn't confuse you guys with this, but this is only possible if you are on the VORs, nearest VORs page, and when you bring the cursor, this will switch between frequency and the VOR, as you see here, and then you can use this to scroll up and down, or the enter key to scroll down. Okay, so that's the last page group we have here. Let's remove the cursor, and scrolling one back, we'll go back to the map page. And when we are on this page, if I press and hold the clear, it should default to the map page. I thought it would. Oh, and by the way, while we are here, as you see, you have the options. So this will go back to the runway information, and it will let us select different runways if we have multiple. Frequency, it will jump to the frequencies if there are any frequencies, and the approach procedures. So let's go and select an airport which has all of those. Let's go to the airport. Let's select this one, for instance, because this has everything. So this is the last, this I skipped. So if I go to the runway information, I have runway 1230, or I can go to runway 0220. So there are two runways, both hard surface, and it will display the information for both. If I go to the frequencies, this will display the approach frequency. These are COM frequencies, by the way, 80s. So if I hit enter, it will tune it to standby COM1, and I can switch. I'm not sure if we will receive this, but that's how you switch. And then approaches, again, you have ILS 12, RNAV, and selecting this. Load approach, as you see here, this is changed now. I can press this and it will go to the approaches page or the procedures page, and I can select my transition and then set my minimums if I want to for the ILS, and then that displays the sequence, and I can activate this approach and load the procedure automatically. Okay, and I can also go back to the stars or other stuff. All right, so that's the nearest airports, intersections, we don't have any options, and DBs, we don't have any options. So the only two pages we have options for is the airports and the VORs at the moment, okay, as the time of this video. Great, so that covers all the pages of the MFD, all the buttons. This has been a long one, but we will continue with entering a flight plan and maybe take a short circuit and fly to demonstrate the autopilot modes and discuss a couple of things that I'd like to show when we are up in the air. Okay, the last part of the MFD is to see how to enter a flight plan. I have generated a flight plan using SimBrief. We are currently, as I said, Santa Monica regional airport, and our destination will be Burbank. I will post the route into the description of this video if you want to see what kind of routing I'm using here. This is a short distance, so the flight plan will not look pretty with the procedures, especially with the arrival procedure, but I'd like to show you how it's done, so bear with me for a second. To enter a flight plan, we need to press the flight plan button. That will display the flight plan page. To bring the cursor, we will again push the knob in. As you see, you will end up here. And to enter the origin, we need to scroll down to this empty or blank line and use the outer knob to scroll once. That will pop a window, and now we can enter our origin. So you can also use keyboard entry by pressing here, and I will enter our current location, Kilo Sierra Bravo Papa, and then disable the keyboard entry mode and select enter. And our departure runway will be runway 29er, so I will select that by scrolling this until I see 29er and then press enter, and one more to accept. So we will be departing from Kilo Sierra Bravo Papa runway 29er. So en route waypoints, we will enter those now. Our first en route waypoint is direct to Mike Quebec Oscar. Again, coming to the blank line, scrolling once, enabling keyboard enter mode, Mike Quebec Oscar. That's not that one. Maybe that's my Quebec 0. No, that's Russia. It is interesting. My Quebec Oscar. Let's try this. Disable the keyboard enter mode. Press enter for duplicates. So that makes sense now. If I enter, there is a VOR. So the default one is 6,000 miles away. This is definitely not the one I want. So again, go back and I'll demonstrate this one more time. Scroll once, enable the keyboard enter mode, Mike Quebec Oscar, and then enter for duplicates. So there are multiple. So it will display this message. If you have multiple, we'll press enter after disabling the keyboard enter mode, and that will display the duplicates. We will select the USA one, that's 5.6 miles, that makes sense. So that's our first waypoint. Second one is Romeo Zulu Sierra, so it will automatically switch or go down to the next blank line. We will do the same thing, scroll once, enable the keyboard enter mode, and then type Romeo Zulu Sierra, San Marcos Santa Barbara, that's the correct one. I will disable the keyboard enter mode and press enter to select that next one. And the next waypoint is through an airway, and to load an airway we have option. We can press the menu button, and as you see we have load airway option. We will select enter, and then we will select the airway, which is Victor 186. So it is this airway here. After selecting this, it is going to load the exits, and our exit is going to be Foxtrot India Mike. So we will scroll down until we see Foxtrot India Mike, select, and it will populate all the waypoints in between. We can scroll down and go to load. When it's flashing, press enter, and it will load all the waypoints. So to enter our next one, we need to keep scrolling until we get to the blank line again. And our next waypoint is TOAKS, Tango Oscar Alpha Kilo Sierra. So I'll do the same thing, scroll once, keyboard enter mode, Tango Oscar Alpha Kilo Sierra. Again, Southwest USA, that's the correct one. Disable the keyboard enter mode, enter, and that will enter the waypoint. And now I need to bring my cursor again. Sometimes it disappears, and go to the blank line if I have more waypoints, but this is my last waypoint here, okay? And the other option here is if I see this airway Victor 186 exit point Foxtrot India Mike. If I don't want to see all these waypoints, I can go and select menu and collapse airways, select enter, it will collapse, so it's much more cleaner. Now we need to enter our destination. We'll come to the destination, highlight the empty line, scroll up once, keyboard enter mode, and it's Kilo Bravo Uniform Romeo, Burbank, California. Press enter after disabling the keyboard enter mode. So if you are not able to use the enter, it is most likely your keyboard enter mode is enabled. This will not work if that's enabled. Enter, and our arrival runway is runway 08, so we will select runway 08 by scrolling with the outer knob and select enter. Enter one more time, so now our destination is in place. It is also displaying the weather, which is nice. As you see here, current weather at selected waypoint, which is our destination. If I go and scroll up to the origin, we will get the METAR information for our origin, which is quite handy, right? So that's that. We now entered our waypoints, but we haven't selected our procedures yet. So you can also delete the flight plan or invert the flight plan, which makes your origin your destination and your destination your origin if you want to fly back. Without deleting the flight plan, it is possible to do it that way. So let's get out of the menu and then remove the cursor. Now we need to select our departure and arrival procedures. So procedures button, now we can select departure by scrolling with the bigger knob, selecting enter, select departure. Our departure is Creepy 3 departure, and it is going to be displayed on the map. I wish the range button was working here to display, but here is our aircraft, runway 29er. We are going to fly to Creepy, turn around, and come to Mike Quebec Oscar. So select this, and our transition in this instance is going to be, let me double check, Mike Quebec Oscar. So I will scroll down, select this, runway 29er. This is going to show the all waypoints and in sequence, and we can now load this into our flight plan. Now we have our departure. Okay, and automatically our first waypoint or first sector is the active sector that our nav radios will follow. Next up, we need to do the same thing for our arrival and the approach. So selecting arrival, again using the large knob, selecting enter. Our arrival in this case is Lynx 8, this third one here. We will scroll down, hit enter once. We are approaching or arriving through runway 08, that's correct. Select enter, and our transition is going to be, let me see here. I need to take a look at the chart to see the transition. Our transition is going to be Hotel Echo Charlie, okay? So it will display here. That's the Hotel Echo Charlie transition. There's another one up there, based on what you have. This is not the prettiest, but just to demonstrate, I'm going to select Heck as our transition, enter, and then this is going to display all the waypoints again, and once more we are going to load this into our flight plan. So if I bring my cursor and scroll down, oh, wrong one, clear, we'll go all back without making any changes if you make the same mistake. And as you see, Burbank via Heck transition, Lynx 8 arrival to runway 08. So everything is displayed here, all the sequenced waypoints are displayed here, and we are back to our destination. Alright, And you can also remove departure and arrival if you want to select a different one by pressing the menu button and coming down and remove departure or arrival. This is also possible. Clear will go back. And now we need to select our approach. Select approach, enter. We are going to do an ILS Zulu to runway 8. This guy here. Select. We are going to use a Victor November Yankee transition according to the flight plan I have. This is our transition, and the minimums for our approach, which we can set right now. If I take a look at the chart, the minimums for ILS is 1075. Okay, so we will set that to barometric, and you can also you cannot do radio altimeter, and then we will select and scroll up until we get 1075 for close. So it's gonna take a while. 10780. This is okay. And then this will display the sequence, and we will load the approach. We will not activate it just yet because we are not there. Activating will move your active sector of your flight plan to the approach. So don't do it while you are at your destination airport. Not approved for GPS. GPS guidance is for monitoring only. Do you want to load the approach? So this is a default warning that you get. Yes, we want to load this. And now we have a complete flight plan. Okay. Now, you'll see a couple more options down below that became available. VNAV profile, cancel VNAV, VNAV direct. VNAV profile, if I select, as you see here, this is going to display information about what kind of VNAV profile we'd like to use. Okay, and you have the altitudes here for each waypoint. All right, let's go to the menu and take a look at this. You can also hold using the NXI. So if we select hold at waypoint, so if say you are on VATSIM and you are instructed to hold on a waypoint on your flight plan, you go and select this, and then it's going to select the waypoint that's already active. Or if you want to do it on a different one, you have to select the waypoint that you'd like to hold. Let's say if I want to hold at TOAKS, here, menu, hold that waypoint, enter, and then course. That's the inbound course for the hold. Lag time, what kind of lag time you want. Let's say I want 1 minute 30 second lag time. And do you want to do a right turn hold or left turn hold? Okay, and then we can load this. And as you see now, it's displayed here. So we will be holding at TOAKS according to this. And now, let's say you flew there and you want to hold is displayed here, right? And then we can go and edit if we want to and change the direction, whatever that we want to do for the hold. Okay, and clear will remove the hold or any waypoint you entered if you highlight it while the cursor is active. So I'm gonna remove the hold, and that is also possible for the waypoints, but no, I don't want to move this waypoint. All right, let's disable the cursor. Now we have a complete flight plan. Okay. VNAV profile, we need to be up in the air to display this and have some information available to us so that we can take a look. VNAV direct works the same way. You can also cancel VNAV or enable VNAV or select your VNAV profile. These are all needs to be explained when we are up in the air. Okay, so that's the last part of this video. I think the next part we will climb, because it's already been a very long video. In the next one we will take off, climb, and discuss the other options that I wasn't able to cover on the ground. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to give as much detail as I possibly can on how to use the G1000NXI. Again, very special thanks to the Working Title team for making this possible for us flight simmers to enjoy in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button. And if you stumbled upon this video and not a channel subscriber, which 80% of my viewers are, please take a couple seconds to hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing, but it helps me tremendously to keep going, to bring you more videos in flight simulation. Thanks for being here with me in this long video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.